Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Daily Football Roundup proudly brings to you the best damn podcast in the world, the 12-Ounce Curl Route Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Current. You can find me on Twitter at Aaron Current. My co-host, Kyle, can be found on Twitter at DF Roundup, and our co-host, Corey, cannot be found here nor there nor anywhere. How we doing tonight, fellas? We're ready for some – we got real games tomorrow.
Football's back.
It's back.
Bum,
bum, bum. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to really get the season going. Real football, as Kyle likes to say, big men slapping man meat, or however he puts it.
Big meaty men slapping meat, baby.
Love it.
Yeah. So basically what we have tonight is the beginning of the 12-Ounce Curl Route 6-pack challenge. We have chosen our favorite 6 games. It was kind of difficult. There were a couple of games that didn't make the cut. But I like the list that we've got. And we'll just get right into it unless you guys got something else to drop in here.
I'm just glad football's back finally. Tomorrow we are less than 24 hours officially.
Absolutely. So. Yeah.
Fantasy drafts are over. It's time to calm down, kick back, have a cold one, and watch tomorrow night's game with some real NFL football. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yeah, Aaron, we were cutting it close. We just finished our last draft about an hour ago. So
yeah, I tried to talk to that commissioner because he was talking about moving it, and I was like, well, we kind of are busy, but whatever.
As co-commissioner, I got overrode. Sorry.
It's all good. We'll get into these games, and the first one, obviously, we're going to start with tomorrow night, the NFL kickoff, the whole shebang bang. I don't know how else to say it.
I like it, the whole shebang bang.
So Thursday night football, we have Lions at Jets. Kansas City is a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 52. The money line for Detroit is plus 170. And for Kansas City, it's minus 205, which means if you drop $100 on Detroit, you will win 170. And you won't make double your money if you put it on Kansas City because they're such heavy favorites. This is as of a couple hours ago. We have gotten news that Travis Kelce today, was it today or yesterday, hyperextended his knee in practice. So that's moved this line 2 points already. And it's, I mean, when we talked about, I think we talked about this game a little bit early in our show's infancy, and I thought Kansas City was going to roll. Of course, I assumed all their parts would be there. Now they've got me kind of questioning which way to lean. Corey, can you tell me what you think about this game, and how's it got you feeling, man?
So before this, I said I really, really do think, only because it's week 1, that the Lions can go into Arrowhead and win this game. Now, this helps me a little bit because, okay, we've seen what they did without Tyreek Hill. Now let's see what they do without Kelce. Now, the one thing is, I'm sure that the Lions game plan so much for Kelce. Even if he's out there, I got to think he's going to be a decoy at best, depending on how bad this actually is. I'm here for I'm going to take Detroit with the points, and I'm going to hit that money line too. I think they can outright win. First week, Who knows? All the crazy stuff comes out.
That's true. And you got players that haven't played in the preseason going out there and going live for the first time in several months. Anything can happen. What about you, Kyle? What are you feeling on this game?
So I heard a stat today that every game Patrick Mahomes has started or played, Travis Kelce has also played in that game.
Oh, wow.
Travis Kelce has not missed any of Patrick Mahomes' starts since he became a starting quarterback. And we don't know what that Chiefs offense really looks like without Travis Kelce, with Patrick Mahomes under center. Everybody says he's the best tight end in the league, and I agree. He definitely is. As of right now, he's questionable. I think he's more so leaning on the side of doubtful. It's scary to really think, they got rid of Tyreek last year, and Kansas City was able to put it together, win another Super Bowl with Travis Kelce leading them through the air. But I think that with the weapons, the weapons that we have not really gotten to see yet, Kadarius, we saw a glimpse of what Kadarius Toney could do. Everybody right now is talking about Justin Watson. Marquez Valdez has shown flashes before. You've got Sky Moore, who everybody was really high on last year as well. And then you have a complete unknown in Justin Ross, who missed all of last season with an injury. Now you've got Isaiah Pacheco, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you've got a few different running backs, Jerick McKinnon as well, who did a lot of work out of the backfield through the air too. And I got to go with the Chiefs, -4.5, Super Bowl champions. They're coming out. Everybody's high on the Lions this year, and I'm not over the hump with the Lions just yet, but give me Kansas City -4.5, regardless of whether Travis Kelce plays or not.
Wow. Yeah. I think you're right. Kelsey's leaning toward doubtful. Even if he does play, Corey, great point. If he does play, it's probably mostly a decoy. He's going to test that knee, see what he can do, and who knows what might happen if he takes a hit. As a tight end, you got to go across the middle, and you're usually taller than others, so your knees are. I mean, you dealt with it with Gronk. I mean, as long as he was healthy, he was a beast. But those knees, they take a beating in there. Yeah, and you broke down all the weapons on Kansas City. I mean, don't sleep on the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. They drafted a running back high to go with David Montgomery. They've got one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. The big question mark, actually, for both of these teams is defense. Because without Chris Jones, who's currently in a holdout, looking for a contract, there's not a ton to get really excited about there in Kansas City on defense. And the Lions had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. So I'm going to say Lions cover the spread at 4.5. You got a field goal game. I will take the over on that over-under 52. I think both of these teams will do really well moving the ball up and down the field against each other's defenses. You had something, Corey?
Yeah, I got two more points real quick too. This I know it's the only game on whatever, it's prime time. This doesn't hurt the Chiefs if they lose this game. We've seen them a few years ago go 3-4. And that's how they started. Like, this doesn't hurt them if they lose this game to a good team. And we say all this to say this. Have you ever heard of Noah Gray? Because that's who's backing up Travis Kelce, and he might go for fucking 210 and 3 touchdowns. Right. And he might become some great person. We don't know. We've seen this with Patrick Mahomes before. So maybe he fills in and they just don't miss a beat. Who knows? We could be completely wrong.
I would
go ahead, Kyle.
I would lean to disagree with that this if they lose, it doesn't mean anything. I think losses this year in the AFC with the Bills, the Jets, the Chiefs, the Bengals, you got all these teams atop the AFC. 2-3 losses is going to be what that one seed is sitting at. And I think it's going to be real close. And if Kansas City gets off to a bad start tomorrow, the Lions, and momentum's a killer, and it could be bad, but I think the Chiefs do have to come out and win this game. I really do.
My thinking was the loss to an NFC team versus maybe testing Kelce too much. That would be
sure. Understand?
Yeah,
I got you.
A big point. I'll be looking forward to see what Sky Moore can do. I liked him a lot coming out of the draft, but I think Kansas City wins, and I've got the Lions covering the spread, though. So that's what I've got in that game. So I've got Lions covering. Corey has Lions winning outright, and Kyle has Kansas City covering. So that'll be That'll be something to watch going forward for this 6-pack challenge. The second game of our 6-pack challenge is the Bengals at the Browns. The spread is set at 2.5. The over/under is 47.5. And money line Cleveland is plus 114 and Cincinnati is minus 135. I'll be honest, guys. I'll start off with this one. I was a little surprised when I saw this spread. Now, I know Cleveland's at home, so they get that little home bump, but I would think the NFL and bettors would look at Cincinnati, who have Super Bowl aspirations, and expect them to win this game. I do know Burrow and the Bengals have struggled against Cleveland, whether it's at home or in Cincinnati. But I'm going Bengals in this one. I think, and it seems like it hasn't broke yet, but Joe Burrow is very close to getting a new deal in Cincinnati. Corey, I know you said at the start of the year when we were going over the North divisions, you don't think he plays without a deal. But it sounds like the team and the player are really close to a deal. If something gets inked out before the week's end, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I think Joe Burrow shows up either way. He's back at practice, seems to be going 100%. Him and Jamar Chase, I think, just pick up where they left off and continue to play really well in this division. And I've got Cincinnati winning and covering that spread. What about you, Coach?
I mean, like I said, it's 3 points basically to a home team. This is kind of a pick'em game. I picked the Browns to win the division. This one actually does hurt whoever loses, obviously. But it does, I think, matter that it's at 1 o'clock versus like a primetime game. I'm going to hammer the over, but I'm going to go with the Browns. I'm going to go with the Browns plus 2.5 because I picked them, and if I'm wrong,
So So one of the biggest things I'm looking at coming into this game, and everybody's hyping up Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore. They're hyping up that offense, and even that defense in Cleveland as well. And the Bengals are getting hyped up, obviously, with Jamar Chase, Mixon coming back on a less deal, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow, you name it. Defense is pretty good as well. But what we're not really talking about is Joe Burrow's injury. He had that leg injury and missed all of he wasn't going to play in the preseason anyway, but he wasn't taking reps in practice. Now, I don't think that he's going to miss a beat with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and his weapons there, but I do think that they might be off week 1 because of that. So I'm going to side with Corey, and not only am I going to take the Browns, I'm taking the Browns plus 2.5 in the challenge, but I think the Browns can win this game. I think the Browns will win this game.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll stick with the Bengals and maybe make up some ground in this challenge.
And I want to say real quick too, Deshaun has had a full, Deshaun the player, not the person. He's had a full off season. Let's see. I think this is kind of like a make or break with this trade right now. It's a division game. You're home. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I've been in that stadium in Cleveland. They definitely get home field advantage there. Those Browns fans are crazy in the dog pound, that's for sure. So the next game that we have is also a 1 o'clock game. It is the 49ers at the Steelers. The spread is San Francisco -2. The over-under is 41.5. The money line for San Francisco is -125. And for Pittsburgh, it's plus 105. Now, the big news in this game today is Bosa just got paid. He got a 5-year, $170 million deal with 122.5 guaranteed or something like that. I was watching that story all day today because I knew we were going to talk about this game, and it was going to be a big thing one way or the other. Pittsburgh honestly has been getting a lot of love lately from national media, talking about how Pickett's looking, how Pickens is looking, the defense coming back. Of course, Mike Tomlin, the ultimate professional who's never had a losing record at Pittsburgh. But, man, I think 49ers, I think they represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I've got to go with them -2. It's kind of a pick'em game. At Steelers is a tough place to play, but they don't have to weather the cold yet because it's such an early game in the season. So I'm going to go 49ers -2. But I do think it's a close game. So I think the spread is right there. I mean, if they'd have set this at 3.5, I probably would have went Pittsburgh, honestly. But yeah, I think the 49ers win this ball game, and I'm putting all my eggs in the Purdy basket. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it's -2. I'm definitely taking the 49ers -2. I actually think they hit the over. That's 20-22. That's 21-21. I think they'll cover that easy. I guess the worst part is that for the 49ers, technically it's a 10 a.m. game. But other than that, I mean, I think the 49ers are just that much better. Steelers are going to be fine this year, but I think 49ers, if we're playing the game -2, it's definitely 49ers for me.
Yeah. What about you, Kyle?
So I always like to drop fun little nuggets on stuff. And I saw something today that the 49ers, between I think it's 6 or 8 players, already have 80% of their cap, to 8 or 9, 8 of their players, basically. Debo, CMC, now Bosa. I don't know what this 49ers team is going to look like next year, or whether they're going to hit the lottery again and just be able to pull money out of thin air. But I'm leaning heavily towards San Francisco -2. We saw what Purdy and the 49ers did and made it all the way to the NFC Championship. And the Steelers didn't make the playoffs, I believe. They were just right outside, finished 9-8, but they weren't even a playoff team. Like Corey said, 49ers traveling, 10 a.m. game. I don't think it really matters. They haven't played a game yet this season, really. They haven't gotten into their normalcy as of yet this season. So yeah, I'm taking the 49ers -2.5, and I'm smashing that over as well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like San Francisco -2, but I'm kind of watching the over under because last year, week 1, it was Bears 49ers, and I think the final in that game was 23-17 or something like that. So week 1, you got teams kind of working out the kinks, and that's why you might see some of these lower over-unders. The 49ers definitely have one of the best left tackles in the game, so TJ Watt kind of gets neutralized. But yeah, all good points. So we all got 49ers -2. We'll move on to our afternoon games, and the first one we'll talk about is Dolphins at Chargers. The Chargers is a -3. The over-under is 51.5. The money line for the Chargers is -162, and for Miami, it's +136. I like the Dolphins a lot. I think I picked them to win their division. I like the Dolphins to go into SoFi Stadium and beat the Chargers week 1. They don't really get a home field advantage out there in LA. Typically, you see a lot of teams, that's their LA trip. They go out there and they take over the stadium. And I really like the way the Dolphins have put together that team. Remember, they brought in Vic Fangio to run their defense. Brandon Staley is a student from Vic Fangio's defense. So if anyone knows how to, attack that defense, it would be Vic Fangio, and they've been practicing them against it all week. I really like the Dolphins. Give me Dolphins +3, I guess, since we're going to play the spread, and I would pound the over on the money line. Both these offenses they're going to be a lot of fun to watch out there. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking the Dolphins +3. I'm taking the over. It's 26 points apiece. That's no big deal. Miami at 136. They're just giving us money at this point.
Right.
I think going across to LA, that's not a big deal. Temperature wise, not a big deal for them, obviously. And I think the Chargers, this is going to be both of them are going to be great at offense this year. I just think the Dolphins are a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm picking the Dolphins +3.
All right, you, Kyle.
I think if there's any team in the NFL right now that can match, I wouldn't say any team, but one of the teams that can match the weapons or potentially outduel the weapons that the Dolphins have, it's going to be the LA Chargers. Mm-hmm. You've got Keenan Allen, you've got Mike Williams, you've got Quentin Johnston, you've got Joshua Palmer, and you've got Austin Eckler at running back. And the Dolphins don't have an Austin Eckler, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, burners, absolute speedsters. But what does Tua look like coming into this season? We saw him miss quite a few games last year with the head injury and everything like that. And with the Dolphins traveling to LA, I don't think that they're far and away better than the Chargers. I think the Chargers underwhelmed heavily last year. But I think the one thing that excites me most about the Chargers is their offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Chargers -3.
Oh, so if you win that one, you make up a little ground in the challenge there. It'll definitely be something to watch. Yeah, great points, both of you guys. The next game.
I'm just real quick, super surprised that the over-under is only 51.5. I feel like this game's going to be like 45-52 or something.
Yeah, I mean, the Kansas City Lions over-under is higher than that. But I picked these out today because I definitely wanted to see how that line moved. So I'm a little surprised that over-under hasn't moved, at least for the Lions-Chiefs games, with missing weapons on the offense.
I think just like Aaron said, though, teams are still working out the kinks and everything like that. It's for what was the last game, 41.5 that we just looked at for the other spread, and this one, is 10 more points than that. So yeah, it's really surprising for a lot of these games where the spreads are.
Yeah,
or the over/under. Sorry.
So the next game we're going to talk about is the oldest rivalry in the NFL. It is the Bears and Packers. The Packers travel into Soldier Field. There is no Aaron Rodgers. The Bears are -1. The over-under is 42.5. Money line for Green Bay is -105. For Chicago, it's -115. So not even Las Vegas knows how this game's going to turn out. I mean, I'm going to take the Bears. I'll just say it right there. I think this is Justin Fields' chance to show what he can do against a formidable defense who's really had his number. I know Aaron Rodgers gets all the glitz and glamour, but Jair Alexander has worked Justin Fields. There's no other way to put it. I mean, he will bait you into interceptions, and he'll let you know about it. Jair Alexander is not scared to tell you how great he is. But I think the Bears overcome. I think the biggest thing for me is we don't know what we're seeing out of Jordan Love. And I love what they have at running back. They have 2 young wide receivers who are really good, but they are on the injury report. So we'll see if they can even go Sunday. And Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. So for all those reasons, I'm taking the Bears -1. The over-under, I'll probably go the under. Honestly, I don't think either of these offenses light it up or really get. I mean, the Bears had a couple of pretty good plays in the preseason, but it's preseason. They're going against vanilla defenses. Nobody knows what it's going to look like come Sunday at 4:25. What about you, Corey?
Actually, go to Aaron. Go to Kyle real quick. I want to hear the Packer part first.
Okay. Go ahead, Kyle. Tell me.
You just assume that I'm taking the Packers on this game.
No, but you're the Packer fan. I mean, it's you two against each other. Let's hear you two first.
If there's anything that's hard to watch as a Packers fan, it's Green Bay. It's Green Bay week 1 of any season. Off the top of my head, I don't know the last time that they won week 1. Last year they lost to the Vikings. The year before that, the 2 years before that, they got blown out week 1. I'm pretty sure. The last few years they've been blown out. I can remember them playing Tampa week 1 year and just getting
in 2019 in 2019 when the Bears thought we were a kicker away, and y'all came. I think was that at Lambeau or Soldier? We played you week 1, got up. Had a pretty good lead in the first half, and then Aaron Rodgers gets a shot in the knee and comes back high as hell and just.
That was a good game. That was a really good game. My knee. Yeah, really good game. Randall Cobb taking it deep. Yeah. That's one to never forget. Khalil Mack had the strip sack interception touchdown or whatever. That was hard to watch as a Packers fan because I thought Rodgers' knee was cooked for the season. And then he came back and somehow they came back and won that game. Aside from that game though, watching the last few years as a Packers fan, week 1, it's been hard. And watching the Packers week 1, I don't know if it's been a Packers thing or if it's been an Aaron Rodgers thing. If it's just Aaron Rodgers is having a hard time kind of getting comfortable because he hasn't been at the offseason workouts. He hasn't been getting to know his teammates. And Jordan Love's been there. Jordan Love's, been working with these guys. Jordan Love has been working as the second team offense, getting to work with Romeo Dobbs before he came a starter. Christian Watson was, kind of a starter when he got drafted. But this team is also very, very young, and so are the Bears. And I think, honestly, that we're looking at for the next 4, 5, 6 years, even probably longer than that, is Love versus Fields. I think that there's going to be a rivalry there. But, as a Packers fan, I can't sit here and say, oh, yeah, give me the Bears -1. I'm taking the Packers +1, but I'd be willing to take the Packers -6.5, baby.
Yeah. The one thing I want to see is Packers O-line versus Bears front seven. I think that's going to be interesting in this game. But I got to take the Bears. I think the Bears, their offense playmakers are just better. And I could also see this being like a 2013 game, maybe. First week.
Right.
This is one of those first week ones where everybody's like, "Oh crap, what happens with what do I do with my hands?" And I think it'll be close, but I'm just going to pick the Bears on this one.
So we got 2 for the Bears, and of course Kyle has to pick the Packers. I just don't know if his mouth can form the word Bears win. So so can you try it, Kyle? Can you try it for me?
That doesn't happen enough, Aaron.
Oh,
me
you
to even
motherfucker.
that's like Santa Claus. It happens once a year. It's the Chicago's just a poverty franchise, man. I keep telling you that, but you don't want to listen.
I will say this so far after week 1, there's going to be a big discrepancy in scoring already in the 6-pack because you already picked 3, Kyle, against me and Aaron.
Yeah, so see, I mean, either you're buying the Bears or
week one is always it's difficult, to be honest. I can remember. I want to say it was. I don't know if it was last year, but the year before, I looked at I think it was the Texans, and I was like, "There's no way they're winning a game this year." And then they won week 1, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, so it's just anything can happen any time of the season, but week 1 is really where we find out, like, oh, these guys might be for real.
Well, I mean, the Bears beat the 49ers week 1 last year. So, yeah, anything can happen in week 1. That was in a monsoon, and I have heard, because I listen to a lot of Chicago radio, there is a chance for rain Sunday. So I don't think it'll be quite the San Francisco monsoon game, but and I'm wondering who that helps, because I know you have 2 great running backs, damn good
and
running
an O-line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Packers always have O-line. This is, and we'll get into it with the next game, actually. Monday Night Football, Bills at Jets. The spread is Buffalo -2.5. The over-under is 46.5. Money line, New York Jets +120, Buffalo -142. This is a divisional game. Von Miller has started the year, I believe, on the PUP list, which means he'll miss at least 4 games, which is unfortunate because I was definitely looking forward to seeing Von Miller against Aaron Rodgers in that chess match coming off the edge. And that's really what that's really what they brought him there for, is to win ball games like this. The only question mark I have about the Jets is their offensive line, and without Von Miller, man, it's tough to take advantage of that. I'm going to throw to you guys because I'm still thinking this one out through my head. Corey, what are you feeling on this one? Your AFC East.
Yeah. The over-under, that's 23-24. I can see that happening on Monday Night Football. Von Miller not being there is huge. The spread being at -2.5. I think the Jets just come out and do something weird. I believe I picked the Bills to win the division, but one division loss is not going to end everything. It hurts, but I'm actually going to take Aaron Rodgers and the Ayahuasca and the Jets and Monday night in New Jersey. Taking the Jets.
Wow, Jets +2.5. What about you, Kyle?
I kind of alluded to it when I was talking about the Packers and said, hey, the Packers haven't looked good in week one for quite some time, meaning Aaron Rodgers hasn't looked good for quite some time in week one. And I've watched an episode of Hard Knocks, but I've also followed Aaron Rodgers over the offseason and seen him in the spotlight in New York and see that he's having a grand old time cutting it up and building really, really good relationships with these players in the New York Jets. But when Rodgers on Monday night has a bad pass, does he take that blame or does he put it on that wide receiver? Right? Because I've never seen Aaron Rodgers say, my bad.
My bad.
I've seen quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow say, that one's on me. But I've never seen Aaron Rodgers do that. When Aaron Rodgers gets sacked 3, 4, 5 times, is he going to start letting that offensive line hear it? Or is he going to be like, hey, guys, we got this? Because the way that he carries himself on the field, it's going to show for this Jets team throughout the season. If he starts digging into these guys and he starts blaming them for all the errors that are happening, that team's going to crumble and it's going to fall apart. Now, if this is an Aaron Rodgers that have turned a new leaf and he starts saying, hey, that pass was on me, the Jets team could definitely be something that's real scary this year. But I like the New York Buffalo Bills traveling to the New Jersey Jets, and I'm going to take the Bills -2.5. I think that they're just they've had Josh Allen obviously longer at quarterback than the Jets have had Aaron Rodgers, and although a lot of people say Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, their relationship is fractured, a lot of people forget about Gabe Davis.
Yeah, man, you brought up some good points there. I told myself I wasn't going to watch Hard Knocks because of Aaron Rodgers, but I have watched it. The first few episodes, it seemed like a PR campaign for Aaron Rodgers. I haven't watched the one that dropped yesterday, but the episode before that, you started to see the fractures with Aaron Rodgers. You know, he was cool, collected. He showed up early. He wanted to work with the young players. He had cool handshakes with Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner bought him a chain and all this. He went back to his college number. But you started to see the fractures. You had false starts, people running the wrong routes. And just like you said, Kyle, Rodgers does not point the finger at himself. He's pointing it at you, and it's all your fault. And you've got a 37-year-old left tackle and a right tackle who has looked pretty good in the preseason. But, I mean, that guy was drafted to be the future left tackle. And it's not looking so great in that respect. It does hurt not having Von Miller, but, I mean, the Buffalo Bills have put tons of resources into their defense along the defensive line. They will miss Tremaine Edmonds in the middle, who was their leader, you know, your middle linebacker that does all of those things. But yeah, when you talk about the Buffalo Bills offense and you talk about Stephon Diggs and you're talking about Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, they went out and drafted another tight end so they could do some 2 tight end personnel.
Kincaid, yep.
Corey, your guy, James Cook, you love that guy. For those reasons, and for the reason you said, Kyle, you know, Rodgers played a few snaps in their last preseason game, and he was more worried about a defensive lineman touching him after 5 steps or something. It was a whole blow-up thing on the field. But for those reasons, I'm going to go Buffalo. And just like you said, Kyle, if this thing starts deteriorating in New Jersey, we could start seeing – I mean, I know Cutler got a lot of hate back in the day when he pushed Jamarcus Webb, his left tackle who didn't have his cleat tied. They hated Jay Cutler in Chicago. We could see Aaron Rodgers kind of turn into that. I don't know about the interceptions. He tends to take care of the ball, but his actions and his words, we could see that a little bit. And that New York media will start to eat you alive when they're asking you questions about it as well.
One of the things that I really want to watch too is we've seen Josh Allen kind of throw some crazy balls. I want to know what the over-under is on interceptions for Sauce Gardner in this game, because Sauce Gardner is just he's that dude. And go ahead. I'm
in 3 or 4 fantasy leagues, and I've drafted the Jets defense in every single one of them. I really believe in that defense. And Quinnen Williams, you talk about Aaron Rodgers and Hard Knocks. Quinnen Williams has been my favorite player to watch in Hard Knocks. I mean, the way he shows up and works his ass off to be the guy. He's a great defensive tackle, and that's to me that's the future of this league. Obviously, your edge rushers are always going to get all that love, but even Brady said it when he's got pressure in his face coming from that defensive tackle. It's really difficult unless you are an uber athletic quarterback to be able to do anything with it other than take a sack or turn the ball over. So that'll be something to watch with the Jets defense. I think I would pound the under on the over-under, honestly. Both these defenses are really good. A divisional game, yeah, I'm going with the under, but I'm going to go with the Bills covering the spread. Maybe Tyler Bass hits a game winner even to give them the 3-point win there in New Jersey. And that went really fast, guys. I did not expect to get through all these games in 35 minutes. Are there any other games that you guys want to talk about? I know Dallas plays New York Giants. That's another divisional game. Jerry Jones has had some things come out in the media this week when he talked about, the way he's running his team. He doesn't ask anybody. He just makes trades for Trey Lance. Do you guys think that there's any issues in Dallas, or do you think – I don't remember who we picked. I think we all picked the Eagles, actually. But do you guys think that Dallas is starting to fall apart, or do you think they'll take care of business against the Giants this week? I know it's not in the thing, but –
You said starting to fall apart? Hasn't Dallas been falling apart every single year since 1995 when they last won a Super Bowl?
I mean, I love their defense, but I don't know if I trust Dak.
Every year for this Cowboys team, it's Tony Romo blew it. Oh, Dak Prescott blew it. Oh, this insert quarterback's name, they blew it. But if they had a real general manager, I mean, I think the Cowboys would probably be a little bit better off. Jerry Jones making all the decisions himself and saying, hey, we were able to get Trey Lance for a 4th-round pick because I didn't have to talk to anybody about it. Bro, talk to somebody about that. Like, hey, what do you think about us making this trade for Trey Lance?
Yeah,
it's a great talent to get, but what does that do to Dak? Oh, crap, they just traded a 4th-round pick for a quarterback younger than me. And next year, my salary's not guaranteed. You got to think about that kind of stuff, too, is not just, we got this great player. Yeah, but what's that do for your vet that, threw however many interceptions Dak threw last year?
League leading.
Yeah.
And he missed 5
What does that
games.
do for him? You're going to take Dak out and put in Trey Lance, who I don't think's better than Dak Prescott.
Well, it was not Johnny Walker Blues' fault that Tony Romo dropped that hold. Okay, that's not his fault. I guess I'm the only person that likes Dak. Yes, he was throwing a lot of interceptions. I don't know. I just don't see that happening. They brought in Brandon Cooks. I mean, yeah, Zeke left, but I don't think they're that bad. I do think if they don't make the playoffs, the coach is definitely gone for sure. They're going to keep Dak. I can see Dak getting paid before their bye. And I heard somebody talking today, upwards of 50 and some change a year. I don't know if I'd pay him that much, but I also wouldn't have paid a couple of quarterbacks that just got paid. But I think Dak is a top 12 quarterback in the league. I mean, and there's 32 teams. So if he doesn't get paid there's going to be 20 teams that want him in theory. So, I mean, yeah, if they don't do anything this year, there's going to be all kinds of changes. But I like Dak. I do. Even though he went to Mississippi State, I like Dak.
I mean, I think the issue with Dak is not only the interceptions. When he came into the league, we saw him against Kentucky. He was a running quarterback who hardly ever – I mean, he threw sometimes, but he hardly ever had to throw.
Yeah.
Now that the injuries start piling up and his age starts piling up, he becomes a pocket quarterback that needs a lot of help on the outside. And he's got that with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's a great wide receiver. And they invest in their offensive line as well until, Zach Martin was upset and he ended up getting his money. I don't think Dak takes them, especially with Jalen Hurts in your division. I don't see Dak being able to do enough for them to win that division, and they might have, I mean, they'll probably get into the playoffs without winning the division. They did it last year,
It's
but
the NFC. They're going to get into the playoffs.
when's the last time Dak went one-on-one with an elite quarterback and you came away thinking Dak did it? Dak outplayed that other guy. We saw Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he went toe-to-toe with him. I was on my phone voting for Jalen Hurts for Super Bowl MVP. I mean, if you were able to give it to someone on the losing team, he deserved it last year. And I've never seen that with Dak, other than playing a 45-year-old Tom Brady, who was 1 foot out the door anyway on a yacht. In recent memory, what about you, Corey?
Off the top of my head, no.
Do you think that Dak would be better suited or a better statistical quarterback if him and Jalen Hurts were to switch places right now?
It's possible. Jalen Hurts has the best offensive line in the league. He's got A.J. Brown. He's got Devontae Smith. He's got Dallas Goedert.
Well, let's not pretend that Dak's not had all kinds. For a while there, he had one of the greatest O-lines. And he had Zeke healthy. He's got CD now, or he's had him for a couple of years now. I mean, and did he have Amari Cooper for a year or two, I think?
Yeah.
So, I
think
Amari Cooper
best years.
Amari Cooper and CD played one season together, I believe.
Okay,
right?
So yeah, but like even then, I mean, so like,
but you've got you got to think of the players that have contracts coming up. Corey, you said paying Dak. You've got Micah Parsons coming up. You got CeeDee Lamb coming up. You've got what are they going to do with Tony Pollard next year if he shows out and has a great season and puts the team on his back? Are you going to pay him to stay, or are you going to try? Deuce Vaughn's not going to be your number one running back. Are you going to draft someone next year? What's the plan there? And when you got a kooky, I don't know how else to say it politely.
I like it.
An insane owner who makes rational decisions. We saw it with Trey Lance. What has Trey Lance done for you to give up a draft pick for him?
A fourth at that. Yeah.
He can't run Kyle Shanahan's offense. I'm pretty sure I could do that. And that's the guy you traded for, and you didn't ask anybody. He finally went and talked to his coach and said, "Hey, Trey Lance is on his way." What? He said Mike McCarthy said, "I liked him coming out of the draft." I mean, that was his only input was afterwards. And I still don't think he's talked to Dak about it.
I've been to North Dakota State once, yeah. And maybe it was just to bring a fire in Dak's ass. You know, Jerry's probably thinking like that mentality. Oh, if I bring him in here, he'll get him going or something. You know, like maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know.
I mean, that worked in Green Bay. They brought in Jordan Love, and then Aaron Rodgers goes back-to-back MVPs. So
with no Super Bowls, yeah.
I don't see that happen. Well, I mean, that's a regular season award. That's
I don't know. I think Dallas, they're not going to win the division. I do like that question, switching them too. I'm still curious though. It's like there's so many other teams that I would love Dak to be the New England Patriot quarterback. I'd be tickled pink if he was. Like there's a plenty of teams out there that would love to pay him $50 million.
Yeah. And I'm kind of throwing topics on you guys, but news broke today. I don't know what podcast it was on. Caleb Williams, the top quarterback going for back-to-back Heismans in college football at USC. He's already putting up gaudy numbers in the first 2 weeks. It is against the Pac-12, but he's doing some amazing things at USC, the way he's able to throw the ball, get out of harm's way, do all the things you want a quarterback to do. What his dad came out and said, if it doesn't look good, he might stay at USC. And I know last year, Corey, we were on the show and we said Seahawks look terrible. And then what do you know? They're a playoff team. The Arizona Cardinals look like they're actively tanking. If that's the number one pick and that's where Caleb Williams is dropping, do you think he stays in college? I mean, I'm sure with NIL money, he's making pretty good money down there in LA.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll stay? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, we talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago when we were covering the NFC West too. Is Caleb Williams' offensive coordinator is Cliff Kingsbury. You think Cliff is telling him great things about Arizona right now?
Yeah.
No. Hey, man, stay in school. You're making millions and millions of dollars being a college quarterback. Stay here and have another shot at it the following year. Now, granted, Arizona has to lock in that number 1 pick first, which they'll probably do after week 5, week 6, maybe. I'm kidding. But their starting quarterback this week is Josh Dobbs, who they just traded for 2 weeks ago from the Browns. The Browns were ready to. They weren't releasing Dobbs. They were releasing They were releasing Kellen Mond, and then they said, "Oh nope, just kidding, Mond. You made the team. See you later, Josh Dobbs, because we got a 6th round pick out of you or something like that."
Yeah.
It's like I said, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Does Gannon coach more than 1 year in Arizona, or is he the guy that takes the brunt of everything this year for being a weirdo and having weird interactions with people?
Did you guys see his motivational speech?
It's tough. That was tough. I mean, that's definitely Arizona Cardinals in a nutshell, essentially, this season.
I mean, I know Nick Sirianni got ripped for his motivational speech his first year in Philly, but boy, I mean,
well,
that guy ran a great defense last year. That's a defensive guy. Dan Campbell's an offensive guy. That's the kind of guy I'm running through a brick wall for. Tell me I'm going to bite kneecaps. I don't give a fuck. Tell me there's a lion on the side. I don't care. That dude's insane. He to me is a defensive guy. I don't know. The guy was just like, who rode the bus here today?
Yeah.
Do you feel that fire in your gut? Like,
first of all, Nick Sirianni is like, whoo, thank God somebody else did something stupid. But no, so okay, we've seen a couple quarterbacks hold back and then play another year and something bad happen. So what about that aspect? Because you got to throw out the whole insurance policies and all that stuff. If you stay and he's probably making 12, 13 at least at USC. And then that would also be wild for them going into the Big Ten. Is it? Well, never mind. That's not next year, is it?
Yeah, I think it is next year.
Is it? Okay. So that would be weird. But like, what if Caleb Williams does that because he doesn't want to go to Arizona, and then week 2 against Washington or something like that, he just slips and just eats it and rips his ACL. Like,
well, I mean, not even only that. We saw it with Sam Howell, who is playing for Washington now. His junior year, he was in top 10 projections of the draft. And then he lost a bunch of weapons at UNC, and he slips to the 5th round. Brock Purdy, in his junior year at Iowa State, that guy was in first-round mock drafts. It was like, the way too early. I read all that shit because I love the draft, and I love knowing what prospects I want to look at for this coming up year. Brock Purdy was in that first round. He dropped all the way to Mr. Irrelevant. Now he's showing that he's capable of running an NFL offense very effectively, but we've seen this happen before. You're right, Corey. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to get hurt for something like that to happen. He can lose weapons, or who knows if Lincoln Riley sticks around, or Cliff Kingsbury, or
Will Levis. We saw him, being mocked as a first-round quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Put it out there. His junior year under Liam Cohen, under an NFL offense, he played well. They let him run the ball. He ran for 9 touchdowns. He was throwing to Wan'Dale Robinson. And can you name another receiver?
But he was not projected to be the number 2 or 3 pick that year and then stayed at Kentucky instead. That's difference there.
That's true.
Well, I think that Will Levis should have gone pro a year earlier. The only quarterback that was drafted in the first round was Kenny Pickett.
Well, his projections the year earlier was 3rd to 5th round.
Yeah.
So
and also, speaking of USC, didn't this kind of happen? Is it Matt Barkley that I'm thinking of? Like, he stayed that extra year. He was projected to go like 7th overall in whatever draft it was, and then he stayed that next year. And I don't think. I'd have to look it up, but just for some reason, Matt Barkley screams, "You waited the year," and not to mention too. Speaking of going to the Big Ten, if they actually are going to the Big Ten, and Caleb Williams now is playing against Ohio State and Michigan defenses and stuff like that, that's a game. Penn State, that's a game changer.
Yeah, but if he does well, that would help him in the draft process because he's playing better defense. In my eyes, I'm no Now, if I was a NFL GM or scout, you wouldn't see me on here with you guys every week.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks a
I'm
lot,
sorry, those
Aaron.
guys
Thanks
are
a lot.
busy.
The little
Those
guys,
guys
yeah.
are busy. But if I were a scout, seeing him play against a better defense, to me, would look better. I mean, and I hate doing he went to so and so college, so compare him to that, especially when my quarterback is Justin Fields. We hear it all the time with Ohio State quarterbacks, they never make it. Oregon quarterbacks, until Herbert, they never made it. Michigan quarterbacks, other than Brady, they don't make it. Like, it's difficult to plant a team to a quarterback because you went to this school. This is what you're going to be, and you'll never be anything better than it. But I think it would help his draft stock, honestly, to play the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Wisconsins in the cold, the Penn States, when they do a whiteout and it looks crazy up there. I've never been in their stadium, but it looks insane on TV.
Yeah.
I think the only thing it could do is help him. So maybe it would help him to go back to school. I mean, Arizona, they talked to all the players about facilities and meals. Remember these things that came out in the offseason talking about different NFL teams, facilities, weight rooms, coaching, culture, all these types of things. Arizona got an F-. It's not a great culture. It's not a great owner. It's not a great, other than when they had Kurt Warner there, they haven't really done a whole lot. I don't know.
Well, their uniforms are ugly. The stadium's dark and gross. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what was it? 2005? Is that when Eli and Phillip Rivers got drafted?
Yeah.
Who says that he doesn't go into the draft and say, "I'm not. You draft me, I'm not signing with you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sign a contract with you."
Which if it was up to me, I would like to see 1 year where there was no salary cap and everybody could just bid on players, because Jerry Jones would have $2 billion in players basically.
Jerry Jones would go broke.
Yeah,
he would go broke, and he still wouldn't win another Super Bowl. That salary cap is there to protect Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I do. I have one game I want to talk about real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
It's the one I'll be flipping back and forth to, evidently on Fox. It's Carolina at Atlanta. A bunch of young new players in this division, but especially this game. We're going to see Bryce versus Ritter. We're going to see Bijan come out. Miles Sanders is over there now in Carolina. Pitts, let's see if he can get back. It's two young teams, new coach of Carolina. I think that'll be a fun game to kind of keep an eye on the second screen or something.
Funny about the way those teams are built, though, right? So Ritter, you have at quarterback for the Falcons, young, and then Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers is also young. And then look at the running back, Bijan for Atlanta, and then you've got Miles Sanders, who's going into his 5th year, I think, in the NFL. Number 1 wide receiver for each team, Drake London, going into his 2nd year in the NFL. I think it's set. Yeah, whichever. And Adam Thielen going into his 10th NFL season, right? Hayden Hurst going into his 6th or 7th NFL season probably, and Kyle Pitts is going into his 3rd. So those teams are built very, very differently, and the Panthers defense is built with a lot of first-round picks too. So I would agree, Corey. That was one thing I wanted to kind of look at too, was those young quarterbacks that are playing this weekend. Even Ritter, he's not a first year. Yeah. Even Sam Howell, who's only started 1 game last year. You have a lot of new quarterbacks. Jordan Love, Sam Howell, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. Who am I missing that's starting for
Jordan Love? Technically,
I said Love. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right. But there's a lot of new quarterbacks starting this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as a Bears fan, I'll definitely be watching Carolina quite a bit this year to see where that first-round pick lands. Atlanta, I really like that. It's put up or shut up for Desmond Ritter. I mean, they've put all these weapons around him, and if he's not the guy, they could be one of those teams trying to move up in the draft next year to try and get that guy. They put resources into their defense, bringing in guys like Jesse Bates and Calais Campbell and and guys like that. That'll definitely be a game to watch. At least I'll be at least watching the score at the bottom. I think I'll be watching that Bengals Browns game at 1, to be honest. But oh man, 49ers and Steelers are at 1 as well. That'll be a
If Desmond Ritter's not the guy, they may not have to move up very far to go get their
No.
quarterback in Atlanta.
No.
But again, like you said, Aaron, you're going to be watching Carolina. Carolina could be picking 20 or higher because that division's not that tough this year, just like it wasn't last year. So, I think just seeing these young quarterbacks for really in a meaningful game for the first time, it's going to be what's most exciting about week 1 this week. That and fantasy football. Let's
That's
be
right.
real.
That's right.
Yeah, fantasy football has definitely opened my eyes with watching these other teams and watching these other players. It used to just be Bears for me. It was Chicago and whoever's playing Green Bay. Those were my favorite teams on Sundays. And now it's what is Bijan Robinson going to do? What is Christian McCaffrey going to do? What is, all these players? And it's really exciting.
I didn't realize too, like speaking of fantasy, I'm really excited to get going. That they do buys in week 1. Let's see, this one league I'm in. Oh, never mind. I'm playing Kyle.
Here, I just thought you were stupid, Corey, but then you finally brought that joke all the way around. It's funny. The Crusher in our league, he drafted last week. He said earlier today, I'm going to whoop C-Flow and I'm going to whoop Aaron this year. So you got a 9-year-old who's playing fantasy football for the first time. Look, he said he's excited to play me week 6, but he didn't say he was going to whoop me. But he's got.
Well, he knows better.
He's looking to bring it to you guys this year. So
bring it on, buddy.
I can't fight a kid, but I have a 12-year-old. I'm just saying.
Set it up.
I'm excited. I'm excited for week 1. It's like Carrie Underwood said. I've been waiting all day. That was great, by the way. I've been waiting all day for Monday night, but really I've been waiting all day. Just I've been waiting all summer for NFL. And it's back starting tomorrow. Exciting times.
And for our Kentucky listeners, I know Ohio's a year ahead of us on this, but for Kentucky listeners, in-person betting goes live tomorrow at 10 a.m. So that's another thing to get excited about with the season starting at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I think
in-person betting?
Yeah, in-person starts tomorrow. There's a bunch of different,
And then the app doesn't start until the 28th.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to find my way to the Red Mile Friday, Corey.
I'm going there tomorrow after work.
Well, when the app goes live, or the app betting goes live, I'll send you a few different, referral links for you guys to sign up with. Get yourself some cash money.
Nice.
So we've had it all year. We've had it all year.
I know. Yeah, literally every state around us has, and then we were just like our backwoods ass. They were can't be betting on Saturdays and then at church on Sundays.
And Jesus wouldn't like that too much. Cats by now.
If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go buy my lottery tickets.
Yeah.
It's crazy because here in my household, church on Sunday is 7 hours and it starts at 1 p.m. So
my guy,
Hey boy.
Well, I think we had a pretty good show today. We got through our 6-pack challenge. Next week we will review these games and go over another 6 games. So instead of a 35-minute segment, I feel like it'll take up most of our time. We will go over news and notes. If there's anything big of note that happens that's not in our games, injuries, contract extensions, looking at you, Joe Burrow, etc. But for now, we'll just we'll get on out of here and come back next week and break it all down again. See y'all.
Fuck the Bears.
Oh, that's Green Bay sucks.
Snuck it in.